your journey. The idea is that we're going to ask questions of the panel. So does anybody here have a family member or someone distant that they know of that needs care, or a friend that you might have a question for the panel? Does anybody raise your hand if you have any kind of question? Or no? You do? Okay.
I've been looking for in-home caregiver. I had a lady that was supposed to start for me last week, but she ended up not being able to help. So I just came because I want to find out what usually is involved in caregiving, what the price of it is, what light housekeeping is, you know, if that's what most of them do. So that's what
you're here for. Okay. And you have a question? Okay. So does anybody here feel uniquely qualified or knowledgeable about something to share? I mean, I could pick, but
Can you clarify your question a little bit? You said you had somebody that was supposed to show up and they didn't, right?
Well, I called because I had a schedule change and she's taking care of a bunch of other people, so it just didn't work out.
Right.
So I've called some other people.
So the one thing that I'll suggest to you and can attest to, because that's what, being a primary caregiver for my mom, it's, you know, we have to juggle life, right? We have to take care of things and all those types of things. So we rely on others and coordinate that independently. And sometimes we don't have backup. Being co-owner of Home Helpers now, if you go through an agency, then you have the opportunity to have backup, because you contact those people and they're gonna have substitutes that can possibly fill in. So, you know, it's otherwise, I would suggest have that person that you can rely on. Maybe it might be a neighbor or, you know, family member or those types of things. But if you go through an agency, then you always have that opportunity for them to have a substitute.
Okay,
So,
good point. Thank you.
in regards to light housekeeping, I mean, we do everything in our business. We do everything from dishes to, you know, mopping floors, dusting, those types of things. We don't do anything intensive like shampoo carpets or window cleaning, but we do take care of basically what your daily tasks are in housekeeping.
Okay, thank you.
I'd like to comment, as I have private caregivers, and I had been through the agency, and one of the larger ones is, if I just named the company, you would know it. But that I did have a problem, Tim, is they would call, or sometimes not call, at 9 o'clock when I was going to church on Sunday, and they did not. I'd say somebody didn't show up, and she'd say, let me see if I can find somebody to replace them. And way over 50% of the time, there was hardly ever someone else to replace them. So that was the reason I went with an agency, okay? But as far as the lighthouse, my ladies do, they do his laundry, they unload the dish, whatever needs to be done. They're busy ladies, and it just kind of, one thing, Tim, where's
I'm sorry.
the big thing, I think, in difference with the home care companies and private care, and I think, Mary Lou, we've spoken about this, is you are not allowed to give any medication to the patients, is that correct? Right. And since mine are not licensed per se, you know, so mine do the feeding tube and the medication, because he has to take every 2 hours, and he's not able to take it on his own. So it would be like, what's the purpose of having help if I have to be there every 2 hours? So there are differences in those levels of care, but all the same.
Yes, absolutely.
And we also work with families who have private caregivers and use our services part-time too. So we, oftentimes Tim and I have filled in when our caregiver called out, because we knew that the family had made plans and needed somebody. So if we're not able to find someone, oftentimes he or I, if we're able, we'll fill in.
That's unique.
So that's one
That's
thing
unique.
that sets us apart.
Yeah.
That's one thing that sets us apart.
So Joe, you had a question?
Yeah, I know of somebody who lives by themselves. They're in their mid-60s, but their acuity is declining quickly, and they really should not be living by themselves. And I've talked to the sister and done various things, but you can't make somebody do something. But by the same token, there is some kind of moral obligation and liability to know somebody's in that shape and not be able to do anything. But the question is, what do you do and who do you contact that could, because he can still live by himself, but he needs some kind of overseeing. If the family comes in, he accuses them because of the decline in the mental acuity, he accuses them of stealing and things of that nature. So who is it that you contact, and or you have any suggestions of who to contact to get them involved as a third party overseer type thing?
I would suggest you start with his or her physician, because they have been taking care of them and they would see.
He doesn't go regularly.
Doesn't go,
And he
okay.
won't keep his
But if
appointments.
he
Yeah.
did, that would be the person that would, he needs to see a physician. I don't know if there's family involved.
He won't go.
He won't go.
He won't go.
He won't go, okay.
Can someone come to his
Yeah,
home
that's
and
possibly,
meet him
yeah.
there? Would he be willing to meet with someone in his home? You know what I mean, like if they came and tried to like assess him, but not say that they're, you know what I mean? Like just come and meet with him, get to know him a little bit. Okay,
If it's a good chance, he'll open the door.
okay.
There are people
Yeah.
like geriatric consultants
Mhm.
that will come, and they've been trained in those types of things, those types of situations to make it minimalize that type of.
So how do you find those people?
I have
Yeah,
a name and phone
we have a
number. I
couple.
know somebody.
I know a couple, so,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
You really need to know if he's, has advanced directives, because if those are in place, that
Right.
helps. But it sounds like, just from my experience, is it's gonna take an incident.
Yeah.
And you prepare for that incident.
Mhm.
And the incident gets them in the hospital
Yeah.
or to the emergency room, to the hospital. And then you work closely there with the physician there. If there's family that may appear somewhere, then there's the person who needs the help has less control of what's gonna happen to provide them a better life when they're in a setting like a hospital.
Is there an organization on aging that would step in and do this, or coordinate the assessment? Is there anybody that would?
There is an area agency on aging that has a whole list of services that is provided at no cost. Assessment, they can give you names of caregivers, they can give you, some people qualify for assistance, and it is not necessarily a needs-based program. It's a filter down from the federal agency on aging, and we have one. I think the one in our area might be in Fayette County, but I'm not sure. But if you look it up, Google it, area agency on aging, it's hard to say. You will find it, and you can contact them, and they have a lot of resources, that, you know, might give somewhere to start. And if you notice something, you know, our cameras are great. If he's showing off behavior, you record it. And when the family sees what you're seeing, it might give them a different awareness of his need for help.
Donna, can you weigh in? Because I know between being a paramedic and
Yeah.
working in the hospital and now
Yeah,
and caring for your husband
yeah,
and
even,
everything.
and my husband has some early dementia, and we're seeing a lot of changes, cause now he also has been diagnosed with Parkinson's, so getting those folks, because I battle this, to accept what you're wanting, the assessment and possible care is quite difficult, because they're in denial of what they need. The other thing is, like, and even I've got folks that come into my facility that are looking for a place for their parent, you know, to go to, because they see those changes that you're talking about. They don't accept it. They say, I don't need to go anywhere. I don't wanna go anywhere. So, and you're right, there will be an event that will probably happen for those folks. You know, luckily my husband and I are still together, but we also had this with my mom. She also had some Alzheimer's when she passed away. Total not going, not doing, you know, you're wrong, I don't have anything. So the other thing is, if you've got someone that you think maybe, yeah, they can live alone because they can do certain things, but they cannot cook for themselves, they can't get themselves dressed appropriately, they don't take showers anymore. Those are they're like our assisted living, gives them that independence. So one thing you wanna do is maybe check out places like that and have them go eat lunch at the facility, because everybody looks at it as a nursing home. I'm not going to a nursing home. And so those are our options, and there are so many fabulous assisted livings, of course, mine's the best. But there are several fabulous assisted livings, and I'll be glad to help you with that and talk to you about what it takes to do all that, because Medicare, Medicaid doesn't pay for that, but that's something to think about, and let them see it's a community, it's not a nursing home. And we even have sitters that come in. I mean, there's so many options.
I don't have that control.
Right.
I just have a person who I know that's.
Right, but you can
living by
share the
themselves.
information, yeah, and then, but yeah, getting them to understand it is gonna be difficult. And just because they go to the ER doesn't mean that they're going to be placed anywhere.
Yeah.
So-
It's gonna take an agency coming in,
Yeah.
oversight because of the age and everything.
Yeah,
And I don't have that influence, I don't want that influence
Right.
either. I just want to him for him to be safe and not be taken
Yeah.
advantage of, and that's where I'm
Yeah.
at. So I have to have a starting point.
but sharing, information with the families and whatever would probably help them.
Already know,
they have
already
it.
been there, done it.
Yeah.
The bottom line would be though, that could happen, it could be you, it could be someone else who knows, is Adult Protective Services.
Yeah,
Okay.
And once they come in,
yeah.
That's what I'm
That's-
asking. Okay.
Are they in Shelby County, DeSoto
Yes.
County?
Yes,
Yeah.
there
Okay.
is one in Children's.
Yeah, cause it makes a difference
Yes.
as to where they are as well, so.
Oh, yeah.
I've had to call Adult Protective Services when
Yeah.
there was no other option.
Right,
Okay.
And they were a harm, what was going to happen was gonna be of harm to them.
Yeah, to themselves, yeah.
We even prevented somebody from, being discharged from a hospital to home because there was no one there and no family member willing to step up.
it happens a lot, it happens a lot.
Yep.
Well, once they're, let me ask this question to you, and, once they're assessed in a hospital situation, they don't let them go home, do they?
Yes,
Oh, yes,
as a paramedic, yes, I have taken many homes.
They would let them
They
go.
will,
They
they will
did.
put them in an ambulance and bring
Yes.
them home, put them in bed.
Yeah, I've taken many to the home and there's no one there, the house is dark, and I know this person can't function. I have had to turn around and go back to the ER with them and say, you know what? That's not possible, it's
Right.
not happening, so I have to turn and go back to the ER.
Right.
Yeah.
My parents lived out of town. Both of them had dementia, varying degrees at different times, as well as numerous other physical, issues. My sister and my brothers and I all lived out of town. How do we find someone in a different city? If you're not living there and you don't know who people are, we got really lucky with mom and dad, but, this went over a number of years and people would come and go and then we'd have to find somebody else. So what do you do?
Who wants to take that?
Yeah, for in-home care?
I think, again, it's, as Sharon talked about, there's agencies, inside of different, I'm sorry, Susan, sorry, Susan. That's Susan. That's Susan Sharon. There's different agencies in different, regions, and so that's probably the first point of contact. And there's, I guess, part of, for our services, we offer monitoring equipment, so that can help assist from that perspective. I mean, because then it is the case to where we talked about, if there is an incident, but if you have a monitoring service, the cameras and those types of things, if you have that and you can show some kind of, digression, then you can present that to the medical, emergency status or people, and that can be taken care of. So that would be my two suggestions. It would be, contact some agency within the region that you're looking for, and then, potentially get some kind of modern technology in the
Okay,
home.
is there somewhere I could find questions to ask those agencies to find out if they have what you need and who might have the best, bang for the buck?
Yeah, good question.
I'm doing a presentation, on the 26th, the 25th, what day is it? The 20th, I forget, 25th, at the Colleyville Library, and I'll have those questions for you.
Another resource that I think is very helpful for families that I refer them to is dailycaring.com. Because that will, after I talk with them, then that validates what I've just said, because they're gonna go they're gonna go to Dr. Google
Yes.
just to find out what's going on. So it's really good, it's dailycaring.com and.
Daily care or
Ca-
caring?
Caring.com, it's free, and they really post some really excellent things, so that's a validation for them.
Does anybody know if the Senior Resource magazine has those questions in it? It may, the one that comes out quarterly.
Yeah. Another thing to consider is, look at franchises. You may have somebody you know that owns a franchise here. Like I know MidSouth Home Helpers is a franchise of home helpers. And one of our employees has a relative that's somewhere else, and I told her to see if she could find a home helper in the area where her family member lives. And they're very happy with the services they got.
And also, you know, the friends and family, you know, word of mouth is a great way to find things out. Or if they are, you know, are people of faith, you know, and you might talk to their minister or say, you know, who does some of the seniors in your congregation use? It's word of mouth, you know, if someone personally recommends me, it's me reading an ad, that stands pretty tall. And and that's how I happened to find my independent ladies, was word of mouth. And we've been a good fit for 4 years now. But also mentioning the cameras and whatnot. Also, my husband, when he was still mobile, I got the Philips fall detector, and it was like $40 a month. And if he falls, and you probably may be aware, but if they fall, it says, Mr. McCord, are you okay? And if Mr. McCord doesn't respond, then they call 911. And he fell many times, and I was in the house, and you have to have a landline, or they pay extra for this little special, you know, mini Wi-Fi thing. But anyway, but that was an option if they're living alone and you worry. And yes, the trick is they're supposed to wear the device. And now the iPhones have this fall detection thing, and the new iPhones do. So there's a lot of things, but word of mouth. So if you know any seniors, whoever that was question was, any seniors in that area, you know, or you talk to some of the, you know, the agencies, the 55 and older places, and if the same name keeps popping up, that's a good thing.
I got a question. First steps. All right, I'm gonna have to move my mother in with me. It's come down to that, and she's got early dementia. I see it progressing. And what would be first steps, like for me, like what are some steps I need to take? Like I know about the handlebars, all that kind of stuff, but what are some simple things to start considering to prepare for this? Because I know it's going to be a lifestyle change.
So you're gonna move her in with you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, you know, start thinking about the things that she can, I will say, get rid of that are in the home, because you're gonna have to sell her house, right? Okay. So yeah, start preparing her house to sell it, get the things done that need to be done, have a real estate agent come in and look at it, and she can tell you what you really truly need to do or what you don't need to do, because the house may sell just like it is, and you don't have to go through all that pain of trying to get someone in and get those things done. It may not even be necessary. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is just start preparing her things to move. Like, you know, figure out the things that she likes the best. How much space is she gonna have in the house if she lives with you? Is it a room? Is it a room and a living room? You know, do you have a designated area that she can sit and kind of call it her own? Just think about that space and start thinking about the things that she can take with her. You know, it's basically just paring down to make her comfortable in the environment where she's going.
And I'll suggest being one that's had to do that. So prepare yourself.
Yeah.
So emotionally, physically, spiritually, mentally, all of those things. You know, I've known you, but have your network around you, that support network that you need. Find balance in that. So know where that balance comes from and what you can do with that. And then offer yourself some grace.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna feel like you're messing it up.
I would say one of the things though, that first you gotta do before you do tasking, you've got to do. The touching part is you've gotta have the conversation with your mother. and see how she feels, what she wants to bring. Because she is giving up, and whatever they give up, we have to give them something to take the place of it. So make sure you know. And then the other thing is, even though you know your mom, is to really concentrate on getting a good history of her behavior. So the mystery is in the history. So the more you find out, the more you will adapt to that environment. You might not know that she likes green tea at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Have the green tea at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
And the other thing I would do, because I have folks that have moved parents in and now they say, now I wanna move them out. And they wanna move them back to us assisted living, because it's an apartment. Assisted living is an apartment. It's not like a nursing home where there's just a room. This is an apartment. But the other thing to think about is, she's right, you're gonna have to know about selling the house. Think about the benefit that you're gonna need as maybe a caregiver coming in, like these folks right here, a caregiver coming in. How are you gonna pay for that when that time comes? So for you guys that might not realize, if the spouse was a veteran, the wife can have the veteran benefits, but not if they have a certain amount of money. So one thing you might wanna do is contact like Bailey Law Firm, who we all love. Bailey Law Firm, they can help get the benefits, because some of that is paid for a caregiver, but you have to know how to do it to be able to get those veteran benefits if you sell the house, to put it in a trust so that money is not counted against your own. So planning ahead, yes, you're right, know what's going on now, but also what are you gonna need even a year from now, if you see the decline, because just in the last 2 months, I've seen a huge decline just in my own husband. So the declines can come rapidly, they can be slow, but always be prepared. So I would contact someone like Bailey to get information about investing that money, how to put that money when you sell the house, so that you can get the best for later as well, or how you're gonna need to use it later.
And the other part is, don't forget about self-care.
Exactly.
You also need to schedule some time for you, and that may mean that you need to get a friend or a neighbor or an agency to come in and do care during that time, and be sure you take off. Whether you go upstairs and close your door and take a nap, or whether you go do whatever it is you wanted to do during that time, be sure you schedule that. The biggest mistake I made in my caregiving journey has been not taking care of me and giving them everything I had. And then I'm exhausted and there's nobody to do anything. So take time for yourself and don't let yourself get to that point. That's important, because if you can't take care of them, then you're no good if you're not taking care of you first. That's why they tell you to put your oxygen mask on first.
One of the
I
things
saw Mark. Oh, go ahead.
One of the things I suggest that the caregiver do, because I don't find caregivers do this, in assisted living, we do quarterly assessments, sometimes we do monthly assessments. You need to reassess periodically to see what the exact decline is, because it's easier to talk to the rest of the family if you've identified those changes in their ADLs or changes that the behavioral support has had to change. And so it's just, if you've got your facts, you can deal with their feelings much better.
To further that, I think writing things down is important. You think you're living it, so you think you're going to remember, but you won't, because there's a lot of emotion involved and tiredness and everything else. And so just having just a few notes each day or each week is important, because when you go to share that with a doctor or with a facility or community or a caregiver or anything, you're not going to remember. When the time comes, you're just not going to remember.
Mark first.
Thank you, Tim, I appreciate that. Genell speaks the truth, and in my parlance, I refer to it as the caregiver goes first. And I'm amazed how many of you have been through this journey. Locking yourself in a room while somebody else is there is one choice. What other things have you done to relieve the stresses of taking care of a loved one in need like you have?
For me, it was, I got family members to come in and do care one afternoon a week just so I could have a break. I eventually wound up having help come, and I wound up putting my husband in a facility because I reached that breaking point, and you don't want to get to that point, so try to learn from my experience and do it earlier. But it might just simply be that someone hangs out for a little while you do a Cascade take me away thing, in case. Well, I think everybody's old enough to remember that commercial.
Cowbell.
Cascade.
That's how I I should have just said that.
Stuff me in the dishwasher, I'm ready.
It's also good to take a walk plan to keep your daily activity schedule. You may not be able to go to the gym, but you can walk around the house. You can walk to the mailbox and back. You can do it 100 times if you need to.
Yeah.
Just to get exercise, because that stimulates you, that changes your environment for a minute. And when you get to the point where you're frustrated, step away. They're gonna be okay for a couple of minutes while you step away and take a deep breath. It's okay to cry. Just shake it off after you've done your tears and pick yourself back up and keep going, because that's the only choice you have. But some of the things that we did ahead of time too is when my husband first got his diagnosis and we knew it was terminal, we got our house in order, our business house in order. We got, at that time my name wasn't on the house, we got my name on the house. We got a trust set up. We got all the things that needed to be done so that when he passed away, it was so much easier. We took care of the funeral arrangement. We did all those things that are hard to do. They're not easy, but you know, when I went to the funeral director and we sat down and made plans, I already had it all written out. And to the point where when one of my speakers didn't show up, the funeral director stepped in and told the story that speaker was going to tell. And it helped because you can't remember all those stories at the time. Your brain is tired and you're dealing with loss. But if you know what stories you want told ahead of time and y'all talked about it, you know that you have peace of mind from doing what they wanted, as well as doing a memorial that's special.
Can I add something to the other question? As a caregiver for 16 years, I wish somebody would have told me on the front side that it's not personal as they go through the changes and what they do and what they accuse you of. And so my one thing is spiritually, keep yourself in peace all the time. Number two is recognize the dynamics of the relationship will change, in what you remember you can't convince them of because they don't remember. So love them through it. And it's not personal. When they tell you you're not doing well, or when they tell you this is wrong, it's not personal. Do the best you can. Protect yourself, because if you're not any good, you're not any good for them.
Susan, I think you had something to add.
I just talking about the self-care. Number one, things that work for me, even though we're exhausted, and my husband's had it for 12 years, and he's totally bedbound now, total full assist daily living, and he's at home in hospice, and he's going to remain at home. But having friends, and I hear all the time, well, nobody comes over anymore. Well, well, you know what? I've been doing this a long time now, and that just hasn't happened. And you know why it hasn't happened? It's because I reach out. I'm interested in their world. I am not closed up in the world of Parkinson's. You know, the other thing is, whatever your disease your loved one is going through, find a support group. It can be on, they're online. I'm on several Parkinson's support groups. Alzheimer's, you know, Lewy body, whatever your disease is. And if you can't find a local caregivers group, then at least go online, because you will see things and you will hear things. Well, you know, dealing with incontinence, dealing with whatever we have, we've never done that. I've never done this before. I was a nurse, but I never took care of a patient. I'm like, Parkinson's is I'm so sorry. Who's somebody? Donna. I am so sorry, because, and everybody's path is different, okay? But it's a big deal, and find support in your disease, and take care of yourself, and go to church,
Yes.
and do stuff for
Yes.
others. That's my deal, and I have joy, and
So we
nobody's
only
gonna-
have about 2 minutes. I'm gonna ask to start with Leah Anne, and just like what, on your journey, just give us one nugget, and we'll go down from you to,
Okay, so I was
Annette.
just in the time listening, my mom lives with us, she has lived with us for about 5 years. In that 5 years, we were in one house and she was in another. The last year and a half, we moved into her house, we renovated the house and moved in with her. And I thought I knew my mom, and she's not even dealing with like Alzheimer's right now, but for you, moving in with your mom or having your mom move in with you, it's a lot different than going to visit her. It's just different. That's all. It takes a lot more of your time and a lot more patience and a lot more, I mean, and it's sweet. I wouldn't trade it for anything because I still have her, but it's just not what you think it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Just hang on. Yeah.
So-
Okay.
all right, 30
Just
seconds. for the
Piggyback off
government.
of that, just stay grounded.
Yeah,
Whether
okay.
Stay
it's your
grounded.
faith, whatever.
Give us 1 or 2 words.
Realize it's not personal,
Yeah.
Yes.
and do a lot of praying,
Good point.
a lot
Yeah.
of praying.
Know how to go into their world.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yes.
Yes.
That's good.
And Annette is on, recorded on that channel,
Mm.
and her talk about being in their world is a good one. It's a good one to listen to.
Anyone with dementia, you must know and learn about TIPA snow.
True,
TIPA snow,
true.
wonderful.
Yeah. She's a speaker, Tifa Snow.
Keep your sense of humor.
Yeah.
Cascade, take me away.
Yeah, no.
Sure, we have somebody with a comment.
Let me just say one thing, I'm always amazed sometimes when I get invited to things, and I feel like God placed me here for a reason. I took care of my dad, real quickly. He was a veteran, he had alcohol-induced dementia. He died in 2021, but I was his caregiver, and everything that you guys have said on this panel is absolutely 100% true. I applaud the work that you guys do. You have no idea how much you help people like us who are caregivers, and I appreciate that. I had 4 hours a day where I had somebody come in just so I could breathe and walk out and go do the things that I needed to do. That part of it is so important, and if you do believe in a higher power or God, stay close, because that's what's going to help you get through it. And like they said, build yourself a network and hold on tight, because it is the hardest but most rewarding job you will ever do, is to take care of a parent, a loved one, a friend, any of those things. So I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
All right, thank y'all so much.